Hi, in this video I will show you how to put together this chilly cottage, which is a little 3D house from Simply Crafty SVGs. So here are the pieces. So I have them in little piles. I have the actual house, bottom part of the house, the roof and the chimney. Then we have the little base that it'll sit on, and the stair. I made it the same color. And then we have the door frame and the door and all the panels. And that's it. So what we're going to start with is a couple panels, and then we're going to go to that door. Oh, no, sorry about that. So these are, before I move along, I decided, so here's a test one. So this is an early one that is not like as refined as the other one. I mean, it's very close to it, but you can see the chimney can go. I'm going to put a little cotton in there, but here's the lid. And this comes off to put a gift or a little tea light. And I use vellum on this one. So if you put a tea light in there, it would go through all those little windows. But on this one, I'm going to use foil acetate. So that's that. So that's these little pieces instead of vellum. So that's up to you what you want to use, but I found these in my stash and I thought they would be perfect, so I used them on a couple houses. And I have my little frames in here. All my really the small stuff's in there so I don't lose it. So let's move ahead. So what we're going to do is to make sure you fold all these, get them ready. Now I'm not going to put the panels on these, but I'm going to put the panels on the straight ones. There's a reason why I won't, because they're slightly curved and we'll want to curve the panels on after we have it together. So let's put that aside. To my right here. So let's take these. And I'm going to just take this out of focus for now, just so the camera doesn't get caught up on what we're looking at. So these are the three pieces for the door, so we'll do that shortly, excluding the actual door itself. So I lost the door for a sec. There's the actual door that goes on the front. You'll see. So we're gonna piece together the side ones, and then we'll do the front ones. So these will go on later. So it's up to you. You can put a backing on these. So one's bigger than the other, obviously. Here's a small one. There's a big one. This just will line up to the opening. Of course I used the wrong one. Okay, get the correct one, and it just, if you line up where that hole is, it'll put a backing in it. So if you wanted the little snowflakes to be the same color as the box, you wouldn't even need this. So that's up to you, but it's included. So since this is just slightly larger than the snowflakes, because if I put a large one, first of all, it makes it less pliable. So we kind of have to put on the side panel, putting a full piece of cardstock underneath there, and you could use a thinner paper, but it just makes it more difficult to apply to the box after it's put, the house after it's put together. So I'm just lining it up, the opening. So really just focus on that opening. And then I'll do the same thing for the next one. I went a little bit too close to the edge. So we're going to let it dry again a little bit, but while it's still wet, I'm just going to curl it just a little bit. Kind of get it ready. Then it has a little bit of a curl, and it won't be as bad to put on. So let's put this other one on. So if you're not aware of what I use, I primarily use art glitter glue and a fine tip applicator. I'm using an applicator that I normally don't use today, but I have a link. So there's drawbacks to every applicator. So far I haven't found the perfect little fine applicator. That works for me 100% of the time, but it's between two versions. Just making sure the texture sides down. I just put it lightly down and then pick it up and do a little wiggling around to make sure that it's pretty much centered. But anyways, like one of the ones I use, the fine tip applicators, they are, it's a version I saw on Amazon. That's the one that I link. But sometimes for some reason the glue is so thick that it won't pour very easily because it's a really small hole. So this one is a Darice version. It's got a bigger hole, but it's got other issues. Or if you don't put the pin, you have to keep a pin, the pins break. So there's other things. So I took the top of the other one, which is a little rubber thingy, and put it over the top to cover it. So a lot of people use little rubber things from like their blades. You know, the little rubber thing that comes on your replacement blades. And they'll use this one. So just giving you my insights on that. So for this, we're not going to have to do anything for that. We're just going to add it to the back. But for this one, let's just do it in stages here. All we're going to do is add this and then the little window frames. And here's the option. If you were using an acetate, like I'm using, a clear window instead of vellum, I'll just bring those out. I'm going to kind of put them out on this just so we can see them. You could put it and sandwich it in between these two pieces. If you were using a vellum, you might want to put it on the back, because as you line these up, you won't be able to see it. If you put the vellum on, if the vellum's not that clear, it'll be hard to match these panels up. So those are your options. So for me, because I'm using acetate, I'm going to put it in between. That way, I don't have to see it on the back at all. But again, if you're using a vellum, you'd want to put it on the inside. Or you can try to see if you can line it up with it on already. Which I was able to do so, but it's just much harder. So this is the one that's shaped like this. So I just put a little thing and glue around that opening, and be careful. Don't get too close to the edge. This will be for the door, so we might as well put that on while we're here. I'm just going to do a little circle. There's several places you could actually put this one, but I'll just put it on the actual door. Then we'll have it done and ready to go. Then the two big ones, those are for the side. We're not going to do that quite yet. We might be able to add that though. Let me see. Yeah, we could do that right now. That shouldn't hinder it. Actually, see, second thoughts. I don't want to cause any problems with the assembly, so I didn't try that yet. I don't want to do it on camera. So I'm getting the small window, the little windows out. So the 3 windows in the front. So you can see they're shaped like that. So we can go pretty wide outside. The next we'll put that top panel on. We'll put that to the side so I don't lose it. Wonder if anybody, I'm sure you guys, I knock things off the table all the time and then I wonder where they're at. I'm like, I just had that piece. So now, so if you were doing vellum, you might want to have it on the flip side. So this is, we're doing an easy part first, and then we're going to go to the door, which I think is probably the hardest part. But what you're trying to do is just line it up exactly. So you want to make sure you didn't get glued too close to those openings, just in case so we have a little wiggle room. And I start by lining it up at the bottom, kind of light. And I did a pretty good job. I'm a little bit off, but just a little bit of not enough to make a difference. And I'm trying to make sure I don't get my fingers on those. Keep your fingers clean when you're dealing with anything like vellum and acetate, because glue fingers are attracted to it. So there's the front. So now we just have these little frames. So you can add the glue to the actual frame. You could just do the outside. If you want to do, if you already have your vellum or acetate down already, you can go ahead and just add a dot of glue in the middle just to keep it down, but it's not really that critical. Get it in place. So for this, they're two slightly different angles, so just know you're going to have to rotate. We'll start with the one that's a little bit rotated to the right. So do a little dot of glue in the middle. So just try to just get it lightly on there and then rotate it into place. Don't put a lot of pressure on it until you feel like you have it in the right place, which I didn't do so well. This one's closer to being straight up, but not quite. Then we'll go ahead and put this on, just to get it ready. There's a little hole at the bottom that helps us. That's going to help us place that bottom panel when it comes to that point. So I just center it, so you kind of can see it's just a little bit of an edge. I wanted a little punch of color, but not too much. I wanted to be able to have a lot of room to work with on the front. So we have those two. So let's go ahead and I'm going to put those aside. And then we'll work on this door. So let me go ahead and zoom in. So we have these three pieces. This one's not necessary. This will go on when we attach it to the actual front of the house. But these two you need. So one thing you want to make sure is that keep this handy, because I'll show you, we need to know which way it curves. So it's going to curve that way. So it's important we use them specifically. We assemble it a specific way. And believe me, you can mess that up, because I did a couple times when I was building this. So one thing I would say is go ahead and gently just bend all these little ones down. All I'm doing is training them, because some are going to bend down to glue to something and some are going to bend the other way. So first we're going to bend them all down. So because this is textured paper, if you didn't care and you had textured paper, we could go like this. But I care because I want the texture to show on the inside of the frame. So I want it to, I'm gonna be bending it like that rather than like this. So if it's like this, so this part's gonna show. I hope that makes sense. So we want it to go this way. So I'm just kind of burnishing it to curl it a little bit, gently. So it's going to go two ways. So this is the one we want, because that's the way it goes. We look at the door. I'm going to start with that one. So we're going to put the other one aside so there's no confusion whatsoever. So it's like this. So these little tabs right here are going to glue to the back of this. So what we want to do is fold these ones forward. So we folded them back to kind of train them. So it doesn't matter which side you do this on, by the way. It's just a matter of where the texture was. Both sides are the same. I'm being slow on this part just on purpose, because what we're going to do, this is going to glue here too. So this is going to glue on the bottom of that, and then it's going to wrap around. So what we're going to do is glue this little tab to the outside like that, because then you won't see it. See, that's the door frame. So we're going to go ahead and add since I have the textured side inside, I'm going to do it on the textured side of the tab. I'm going to line that edge up to that bottom, to that inside tab fold. I'm just making sure it's in place. Make sure I have a good fold there too. I forgot to fold that. So that's what it should look like. So I'm going to fold them all inward. Like that. It's sideways, so this is the bottom of the door. So let's first go ahead and anchor it. So I'll go backwards so hopefully we can see it better. I'm just very right-handed. So that's folded under. Go ahead, I'm making sure the texture's up. That's how I know I have the door in the correct orientation. So trust me, this will work. When you have little tabs like this, it kind of just wraps around it, but we want to get, the important thing is getting it secure to that first tab, so it's straight and where it needs to be. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to pull up about, let's just do 1/3 of them to start. I'm going to start from this side. And I'm just going to add a little glue on all these tabs that I pulled up. So I didn't pull them all up because I'm going to flip them right back down. So I'm going to start from the bottom, and then I'm going to push it in on the side. Then as I go forward up, I'm pressing down on those tabs and lining up that edge to the inside tab fold. So I can't remember how far I went, so it looks like I'm about at the same thing. We'll know in a minute when I lift it. So we're going to continue around like that. So it kind of popped out. So it's going to seem awkward if you've never done this, especially, but it does seem awkward even if you've done it before. I'm just trying to get those tabs underneath because it seems tight up there, right? I think 1/2 and 1/2 is the best combination because you really get it seated. So I'm going to show you. So you could do another 1/3 if you wanted to. Oh, that was that one right there. As we go around the curve, it's just best to get them all around the curve at once. because as we get down to the straight part, so we'll go around this curve up to about what there. Once you get around the curve, the straight stuff's not bad. It's just this top curve stuff. So I'm going to start where I ended. Gotta be really careful. I'm trying to be slow and deliberate so I can show you. I'm just pushing down. But it's important to start from where you ended. It's such a small piece that it's just giving me little fits. You just have to be patient with yourself. See, it's almost there. I just have that last set. Make sure you put enough glue on them. So it looks like I didn't get enough glue on these tabs up here, but you can do this. And if you have one that lifts like that, just put another little dot of glue. The nice part is we're going to have a panel that covers this. So if you wanted to finish it, you didn't have to go in and do it. You can do it this way. So there's a couple ways to do this. I mean, I'm just showing you different ways. So we can do it and flip it over how we were, or now we can do this. And go tab by tab until you're down to the bottom one. But my fingers are a wreck with all this cold, dry air. And paper crafting. That doesn't help either. So there it is. Didn't seem like it would come through, but it did. And this goes on the back. So we just go ahead and you can either, I'm just going to push those all have to go out anyways. So that's a good trainer. See all they're folded out? Because we're going to attach it to the front of the house. So this is just for the inside, so if somebody looks inside they don't see a bunch of tabs. So this is more of the aesthetics rather than function. The function is to hide the tabs, but it second says kind of more strength behind it too, if you have a couple tabs coming up, because that could happen. But just get that hole in the right place. And then this would be a good time to place this. So I just put a little glue, not right to the edge, just up to the edge almost. It's a little bit smaller so it fits in there. Just go a little bit wide around that opening so we don't get glue on the acetate, because I already put it on. If you have it on the back, it's not a problem. And then it just fits in there. Now we're going to take this, and you can try to squeeze it in. This is a little bit bigger. This opening is bigger than the actual thing, but I think it's easier rather than to. If you get a little bulky corner, it doesn't work as well. This is easier to do this, to feed it in this way. I say that. So see all the tabs? Make sure they're all there. Just kind of pushing it through so we have a little bit of room. I'm going to put glue on the back of this one first. Let's get it anchored from the bottom. So I'm just going to line up this edge, bottom edge here, into the fold. See how it goes like there? Falling out a little bit. That's okay. So now this is much easier than the door was. You're just going to add a little glue to each of these tabs. I'm going to go about halfway Just make sure when you fold them over that you're lining up that edge in the fold. And be careful that there's not too much glue, because we do have a small frame to cover this. But you don't want it on the front. So if you do have like glue starting to on your fingers and there you can feel it, that's when a little damp paper towel is handy. I use it to get excess glue off my fingertips and get it off projects. So we just have to finish the rest of them. So I'll let you watch that rather than me talk. And then we'll add the little frame. So we're adding the frame now. I added the glue, some of the glue on that, but I'm just going to go a little bit on the edge, very lightly, to make sure I get towards the edge on this. And the reason it's so far down is we're going to have a step anyway, so this white part at the bottom will be covered by a step anyways. So this is a little bit bigger in the middle, so it hides any of the folds. So just get it in place so you can't see any of the edges of those tab folds. And then you can flip it over. Apply pressure like that. So at this point, we're not going to add them, but we have little snowflakes. I am going to add them eventually, but I want to see what else I want to do. They're kind of more like embellishments. So I have 3 different snowflakes and that you can print out that are very small. They're this small. So if you have a machine like the Cricut, they have a special setting for intricate cutting. But these are just little things to put around. There's 3 different types. Some cut better than others. I cut this on my Sizzix Eclipse. And anything I cut on the Sizzix Eclipse just fine on Cricut. And sometimes you have to tweak the silhouette a little bit with their settings with paper cutting. Especially, I don't have the 4, but I have the 3 and the 1. And if you get your blade right, usually you can cut these. But they also have CB09s, which I have one, but I haven't. Anyways, there's an ability to do intricate cuts like this. Or you could cut them out of vinyl, excuse me, and tack them on. A lot of people have vinyl now. So this is just to give a little bit more interest to the box. So I will put them on at the end because I want to see where I want to put them on. So I cut more than obviously 3. So now we have the house pieces. I'll put those panels to the side there. And we'll start putting it together. So you'll see one side is slightly longer than the other. So you have a short side on the right and a long side on the left. So these score a little bit. And I already folded all the tabs. So just make sure you fold those tabs really well. And then do just a little curling. You can do it on the end of your table if you like, or like that, just to give it a little bit of a curve. This is the most important. It helps get this first piece on. So let's put the big piece on first, since in my opinion that's the harder piece to put on. So we're going to go ahead and line that up. So get it anchored. So I just line that edge up to the tab fold in that section. Get this out of the way so it's not distracting. I'll move that too. Then we'll go ahead and I'll just do a couple tabs at a time. You could do all of them actually. If you are not familiar with this process, it does get easier time to do 2 tabs at a time, or 2 to 3 tabs at a time. This is fairly simple, but you want to go in order. So I'm just lining this up. The biggest thing is if you're too slow, your glue may dry up on you. So the biggest thing is lining it up as you go, and you can just go ahead once you have it lined up, put it flat. That was a little bit off on that one. A little bit off doesn't really show that much. So once you get them in place, at least on the front parts, you can do this. So you have the option of going that way, but since I can do the right hand side, or we can do the back. So if you want to do the back, you can do that. But let's go ahead and do the right. So it doesn't matter what order, just as long as you know how to do it. So again, we're going to go ahead and anchor this top part. So I'm just getting it in place. And what's nice about paper is you kind of can bend it around a little bit. So if you have these folds in there, if you want to glue it a certain way, you just kind of maneuver it until it's in a good position for you. So this is a good position. You see I keep my thumb over that tab. I just don't want to make sure that I don't pull it off. So I'm just keeping it there. Trying not to get glue on the front. So I'm just going to put this down like that. I'm not able to get it on right. So now, we'll glue on the other side. Let's get that off. And we'll do the same on the other side. So there's no right or wrong way of doing this. It's just lining it up. So if I'm really right-handed, so I have to kind of just move it around in my hands until it's comfortable. So for me, it's always lining up with my right hand and holding the back tab or pushing on the back tab with my left hand fingers. And that one was a little bit, that wasn't lined up really right. So once you get it in place again, you just kind of give it a little bit more pressure inside on those tabs. That's the benefit of having the inset door, by the way. If the door is on the outside, you wouldn't be able to do that. It's not what I was thinking when I made it, but I just realized that. So we're just going to continue going around. So we'll attach it this way. So that's again the short side and then the long side. So we're just going to attach the remaining tabs and then we'll move on and put these on. So I'll let you just watch this part of it. So now you can see we close this last side. So that's what it looks like inside. And it's coming together. So before we put the bottom piece on, let's go ahead and add these side pieces and their little panels. So again, if you wanted to put vellum, you might want to put it on the inside. There'll be optional panels to just included in the files if you go to the extra stuff folder, that there'll be a panel just kind of slide over here and glue. It's not going to be the entire panel, it's just going to go around here and then the one here, so to hide if you have vellum in the side and you want it to be all pretty. So as I stated before, because I'm using acetate, I'm just going to put it behind. And you can, like I said earlier, if you can see through your vellum, this is optimal because then you don't have it inside. I mean, I don't mind it that much, especially if I'm making it for me. But if I'm making it as a gift, I might want to clean it up a little bit more. But again, it's a craft. I mean, most people are just in awe if they don't see this stuff every day. They're like, you made that out of paper? So it's kind of funny. So I kind of already had it curled a little bit, so it doesn't have to be curled that much. So let's go ahead and add this. I got to pop out a little cut here. Let's add these real quick. Those go on like there, so we can just go around the edge here. And originally I was going to have the snowflakes cut out all the way through so you could see light through them, but then I thought, you know, a house is not like that. Sorry for that noise. I just got a new chair, so I'm getting adjusted where my feet hit. So you just want to put it like we did the other ones. I didn't add any glue to the middle, but you can do little dots. So as you can imagine, I sit a lot when I design and do crafts. I try to get up. My movement at work consists usually of getting up to put paper in a machine. So I had to get a better chair. Just like I had when I was in the corporate environment, I finally have a corporate level chair. So let's see how I like it. So now we're just going to line. The best thing you'll want to do, we're gonna put glue pretty much around the edges. So I did create. I wanted just the house just to be kind of like a slight curve, like it was leaning, which I hope I feel that I accomplished. Maybe not as much, but the nice part is I didn't make it so rounded that it's going to be hard to put this on. So I'm going to line that up first. I'm kind of lining, making sure that, make sure you have the right panel too. Have to pull it up just a little bit, and then I'm going left and right to make sure. And I didn't quite put enough glue at the top. So let's go ahead, get it situated on the bottom. You can only push on part of it, so just be careful. You really can only push flat in one spot on the side. The rest of it's kind of curved. So I just need to add a little bit more glue because I didn't do it. Or you could add it there, but just going around the edge here. Get this top piece. So since I'm here idly putting the same things on, one thing that I don't know if everybody realizes, again, I kind of talk about, it's a long process to do design. It's one thing having an idea and doing it, but it's another thing putting it together like this. So just example, I thought, well, it'd be easy enough not to have score lines. So I do it, and it was just too hard to put together. So I could do it. So there's a lot of things that I can put together. So again, we're just centering this. Be careful, make sure you're straight when you're doing it. But you know, a lot of things that I can do, it doesn't necessarily mean most people can do. So I strive to make something that most people can do. Or all. I mean, anybody should be able to do mine if they can watch my video. There's only a couple designs that have kind of harder elements in them. Like the door thing is not a newbie. It's not something you want to do at the very beginning. And some of the rounded ones aren't. But I mean, if you go slow and you practice and work your way up, it really isn't as bad as it seems. But going slow is the key. And watching the videos and sending questions if you have them, because you can always contact me with contact form on our website. So a lot of people email me, and I get back to you as soon as I can. This is kind of like a 24/7 job, unfortunately, because everybody purchase it all over the world, which is kind of cool because I get to get emails from lots of different countries, which is fun, you know. A lot of UK and Australia. So anyways, that's my sidebar. So now we're going to put the bottom piece on. So now we have all the little side pieces on. So we're going to go ahead and take this, I'm getting it right now, this piece. And the reason why I did this is because this is slightly different size in the back. So just make sure when you put it on, just put it on the tab with the cutout circles so they match up. They don't match up exactly, so don't match them up. That's just an indicator. So we're just going to go ahead and add glue to that tab and just line it up. It almost matches up exactly. Just want to go right over. You can see. Get a little pressure there. This should be pretty simple to. The nice part is we don't have a big opening on the bottom, so it'll be really much easier to line up. It's kind of crooked on the top, so just lightly get it upside down. Then we're going to add glue to these tabs. Glue's clogging up a little bit there. Let's see if I can get it going again. So with these glue bottles, trying to find a pin, sometimes have to, it gets clogged and I can't get it unclogged in a video really easily, so I still like them because it gives me more control of the glue, but when it does things like this, it's very irritating. So once you get the glue on the tabs, just go ahead and fold it over gently. Again, don't be pushing on. We're not pushing hard because I don't want to crush the top. I just want to rub around the tabs, get them in place, Then I'm going to take my handy dandy wooden chopstick. Oops, I'm going to flip it over and reach in and apply pressure to the tabs on there. And I could use my hand too. It's big enough. Make sure you get under the door. So you can do that too. That's what seems like it's easier. Okay, so that's the main house. But then now we'll have to do the roof. So here's the roof pieces. These pieces are the ones that go on top once, these are the side ones, the front and back, and then these go on top of this. And one has a hole in it for the chimney. And I use this embossing folder, which is really cool. So when you do emboss though with a cut piece that has a tab, it could compromise the actual fold. So just be aware of that. You might want to test it. Some embossing folders seem to go deeper, and it just depends on the paper you're using as well. So we'll go ahead and add the sides first. We can't put the top on quite yet because we need the chimney together. So we're going to put those right there. So these, one side is longer than the other. So if you're looking at it, you won't know which way it is, but you'll see that one's visibly shorter than the other. So make sure you get that. So you go ahead and test that before you put on. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to actually glue it to the top, but just to line it up, make sure you got the right side, and then we can start. So to put these on, we'll start at the tab here. We'll go ahead and just line that up right up to where that tab starts there, the fold. And it's pretty much matched up. You can see it's lined up. So make sure you have that on good and well. Then we could do all three tabs at once, but we'll just do the first two. We're going to put it on the top. So we'll cover it with those panels. So what's nice is that you can flip it over. I'm going to go so you can see it from the camera. I'm kind of pushing it in. Get that part set. Then kind of rotate it. Push that out. And get that set. So if we did all three, we just continue. But we're going to go ahead and add glue to that last one. So it just glues on the top like that. So we'll just do that last one. So use gravity and tables to assist you, and then we'll fold this in and get that glued. So once you get the first piece on, of course we know the second one is the right orientation, so we'll do it the same way. So I'm not going to go through that again, but it's the same exact way. So we'll just go ahead and glue that on, and then I'll come back and show you the chimney. So now we have both sides on. So we'll go ahead and put together the chimney. Let's take that right there. So when you fold this, I've already pre-folded it, but I left two not folded. So they're all slightly different, but what you want to do is to fold right here gently, and then find the next score line down. Just fold down, and then this one you want to fold down and up because we eventually will glue it underneath. So some of them, just to be aware, will, like the shorter ones, because it's curved. So let me show you. Some are going to fold inward, okay? So that's the shorter ones. So there's two short ones. Those fold inward. So let's see where the shorter ones are. So you might want to train them right there, right there. But as you put it together, you'll feel it as you go around. So let's start at one of those sides. It's really not that difficult to put together. So just add glue to 2 tabs at a time. Start at the top. So I'm reaching in, applying pressure from the back, matching that edge up to the tab fold, and then going down to the next one. So just be careful with glue on your fingertips, because this will be shown. At least the bottom part of the chimney will be. So we'll just continue around. Surprisingly, once you get it all folded, it actually doesn't take that long. You just have to guide. As you match up the tabs, you'll see it'll guide you on which direction is. So you just focus on lining up this edge to the tab fold. And put glue on that second one. You can do one at a time if you wanted to, but I find that I try to get them as close as possible. The reason is the way that I designed the snow that goes on top. We don't want big gaps, else it'll show the gaps. There's a reason I did that. After about 6 or 7 tries of trying it a different way, I decided that was just going to be the easiest and best way. I mean, it's not the best way, let me just say that, but it's the easiest way based on the shape of this chimney. So when it gets down to this last piece, kind of fold in those tabs. So make sure those tabs are folded in, and then those are underneath. And we'll go ahead and put the glue on that one side, but we just want to make sure those pieces don't end up at the outside. Just going to reach in, get it lined up on that top one, and then the bottom one. And then this, you'll just have to reach in. You could always use, if you don't have a fine tip applicator, you could always use a piece of paper with glue on it and try to get it on there, or like a really small really small paintbrush. I mean, any tool that's got a small head on it, you can figure out ways to do it. I've seen people use just like little toothpicks. It's interesting. If you look at the paper modelers that have been doing it for years, much different than what we use. Some of the tools that we use for 3D. I try to get back to the basics because I say you could use anything. I don't think you have to buy a lot of expensive tools. So this goes on a very specific way. So this longest piece right here, you can kind of see it folds down, but this longest piece is one of the big pieces on the outside. So we're going to put it on. I'm going to dry fit it. You can see why I wanted it close. But as I go around, I want to make sure I have it in the right position. If you have it slightly off, so these are the 2 pieces right here. Those 2 are the shorter. These 2 are the longest edges. So you want to situate it that way. If you situate it other ways, then it's going to be off kilter a little bit. So what I would do first is do this. Remember, you got to note which way it goes, so I'm going to tell you again. So the longest ones are these 2 pieces right here. Okay, so here are the longest pieces right there. So I'm going to get that centered. So some people will probably wonder why I just didn't do a wraparound. Like I said, I tried it several times, and I was getting mixed results. So I decided that it was best, this worked, so why not just go with this? So if you have another, you can always change it up yourself if you want to give it a try. Or you could use a medium on it, because there's different types of medium that look like snow. That would be fun. Just blow it on or paint it on. So I'm just trying to get these edges as close as possible. So it doesn't seem like there's seams. I mean, you'll see the seams, but it doesn't look as bad. So that one I got kind of far when I glued it. So I'm just reaching in, applying pressure, getting it as close as possible. But from afar, you get the look of snow. So it doesn't take away from it. And then we'll just go ahead and get those last two. So the next decision will be how you orient it. So I tried it 2 different ways. I think it's up to the person that wants to do it. But now we're going to get the panel with the hole in it. This one. So it's going to be on your right hand side. So it's going to be right over here. And you have no other choice. You want to put this on the right hand side because that's the way I designed it. I didn't put a hole on the left hand side. So when you put it in, initially I thought something like, I'm going to put it at an angle so you can see it from the camera. Something like that. So it's just going to the side. Well, I think this one kind of looks fun too. Kind of goes towards the front. So that's what this one looks like. So if you look at it straight on, that's more whimsical to me. So I'm going to put it on this one again. I tried it the other way. You can rotate it back. It's up to you what you want to do, because it's all symmetrical, so you can put it any way you want. I'm going to put it in. So I'm looking at it from the front. Just want to make sure that I know what it's going to look like. And I kind of want that to come out. And I'm going to put a little piece of cotton in there. Now if you want to go like this, that's cute too. So you don't see that little hole. So that's up to you. So once you figure out which way you want to orient it, make sure the sides match. So I'm going to rotate it 1 turn. And I'm going to come in here. I'm going to anchor one of them. So I'm just going to fold that down. So I'm going to anchor that in place. Once I have that anchored, I'm going to, so I'm just making sure it slides in at the fold. So I'm double checking up here too to make sure that I'm getting into the little fold edge. Then I'll do the opposite to get it stuck in place. Then we'll go ahead and glue the remaining other tabs down. So when you're gluing them down, just take a gander at the edge in here, right there. Make sure it's lining up. Then it looks like it's part of the roof, that it's built into the actual roof. So now, the fun stuff to finish it. So you can see there's a little fold there. I'm just going to glue that on. Oops, I'm on the wrong side. So you know you're on the wrong side because this is too short. This is the short side. So when you glue it on, you can start from the bottom or the top. It doesn't matter. This is kind of what I would do, or what I do. Let's do the other one first, because then we don't have to contend with this when we glue the other one. So let's do the other one first. I forgot it went to 10. I'm going to do this. I'm going to put the glue on here. Just put in enough to get through the edges. I'm just going to line it up above that and then right there. Really fancy glue job. So I'm going to just make sure that the fold lines up with the other fold. So that the thing with this, and you can make sure it's centered here. Just want to go to the right a little bit. Don't do that. This glue is just drying faster today than normal. Okay, we're just gonna call it done so I don't destroy this thing. Then you can go ahead and do this. So we can't do this part easily once you get that chimney piece on, so that's why I was doing this side first. So do the other side. And do the same way. Except the difference is we're going to have to use our hands a little bit more to. And I'm getting this glue bottle is leaking. See, that happens with these glue bottles. When there gets a little clog in there, it starts leaking. So that's one of the reasons I stopped using it. But I needed a new bottle. My other bottle died, and this is what I had on hand. I did provide some gentle feedback to the company, but no response, unfortunately. I thought they'd like to know, since it's such a popular item, that maybe they could look into seeing if they can solve the little issues. But maybe they thought it was a user issue. See, it's leaking out. If I tighten it too much, so if anybody has suggestions, you can always comment on this video, but if I tighten this one too much, then there'll be no flow. But if I give it a little air, I get flow. So you see, I just tightened it, but so we're just going to have to get through this roof at least. And then I can go and get it cleaned up so I can get through the rest of the video. So there we go. When all else fails, put it on your finger. I had to wash it off. So let's get this on before it dries. And I'll get a better glue bottle after this. So what I like about this is that it goes up and there's just a little bit overlap at the bottom. So it kind of gives it more dimension. Let me see if I can get this glue bottle fixed, and I'll be back to finish the roof and then the base and stairs. So we're just going to use my Scotch Quick Dry to finish this project. I gave up on that little bottle because it was going to take too much time to deal with it. But when I change between two different glues, I have to modify how I use it, because Scotch Quick Dry is different than art glitter. So I always encourage people to give a try to a couple of the suggestions and find out which one works for them. Just because it works for me doesn't mean that it's going to work for them. So this just goes straight down the middle. To finish it off. So I like the embossing touch on it. I think it really makes a difference. It's the snowflakes I showed you earlier embossing folder. And it wasn't too hard to work with. So the shorter side is always going to be the right hand side. So now it's bigger. So there it is. See my little windows. I like how that looks. So I don't think I said it in this video. I did another video with another house video earlier. So if you want to check it out, there's another house. It's called Polar Place. Anyhow, I got this acetate for my friend that passed away in 2014. She had a bunch of art and craft stuff, and so I finally got to use it after all these years. So it's kind of fun. This is snowflake foil acetate. I'd never seen it before. So now we're going to go ahead, even though I don't like to use the big bottles. If somebody says to me, well, why aren't you using the original art glitter glue bottles? Because I threw it away. Or not threw it away, I have it somewhere else. So anyways, I don't have access to it, else I just use that. I only have a refill bottle right now. And that won't come out very well. So this is just a little step. So that's how it's folded. So the way I would do it is to add glue to these little tabs here. Be careful how I do this glue. I just do it all at once, just fold it over, line up the other side. Then I can reach in and get that tab and get both tabs. It's not perfect, it's okay, because this is a whimsical house. It's supposed to be. Go ahead and do the same on the other side. Flipped up on me. Whenever I do something like this, I think the few people out there, they know who I'm talking about if they watch this video, that downsize their designs by 50%. I just couldn't imagine getting that small for some of these things. But that's what they like to do. I didn't put enough glue on that. This is the side effects of using different glues. With the art glitter glue, a little goes a long ways. There's somebody who did a video. It's I can't think. I'll put it. It's Mike it's Mike Dezine's. Why can't I think of the name of it right now? But everybody knows Mike Fernholz. So anyways, I probably said the name wrong too. But he did a video on YouTube about comparing the different glues. After watching it, I kind of agree, but I still think that glue is really a personal choice. So when people say, what kind of glue do you use? I think it matters how heavy-handed you are, what works for you. So I think you really need to try a couple glues to find out which works best for you. So I used to do Aleene's tacky glue, and I'm still okay. That's a good backup for me. I mean, it's totally opposite and way thicker than I'm just rubbing all these tabs. Way thicker than art glitter glue. Scotch quick dries pretty thick too, but it just takes some getting used to. Whatever you work with, find one you like and just stick with it. So now let's go ahead. That's just going to go right in front of the door, centered in the door. Can't see it because of the angle, but like that. So I'm going to find the best front of it, and I think it's right here. I'm going to add this little doormat that here's a perfect little ink pad that I have color-wise. Forgot to ink it. Because everything's better inked or embossed. And we're going to add this little, I want that. Can you see it? It's a little digital paper. It's a little penguin. I get my digital papers from, primarily the ones I like the most are from snapclick.com. So give it a try. They have $1 Wednesdays, so you can get deals on certain paper packs on Wednesdays. So somebody, another crafter told me about it. Anyways, so I thought that would be a fun little welcome mat. And then the last part is this little simple base. And it is little, so we're just going to go ahead and fold it on the tabs. So when it's this small, this is kind of how I like to fold them. So there's two of them the same size. It's just kind of the base to me is just more of a, make sure you fold it in the right thing. Sometimes it doesn't score quite right. It just kind of raises it up, gives it a little display to, finishes it off a little bit. Feels like more a real village. So that's wonky, but it's not going to show because it's going to be glued on the inside. So we'll go ahead and add glue to this tab. So we're just lining up that edge to the tab fold. Get glue off. Then we'll go ahead and just fold this over. Add glue to the other tab. You should be able to fold it over right into place. Just have to center it. I have glue leakage, so I was trying to glue to the other side. So we're going to go ahead, I'm going to start on this weird fold that didn't fold well. We'll start on that. I'm going to anchor it to this. So we're just going to anchor it. Just line it up. This dries a little quicker than the art glitter glue, so I have to be careful. So once we get it anchored, we can go ahead and add glue to these other three tabs. Then we're just going to fold it over. Fortunately, we'll be able to reach in to apply pressure from within for this, but when we close it up, it'll just be closing it up. It's getting off camera there. Sometimes it's hard to craft so close to in camera view for me, because I usually pull things really close to me when I'm working, so it's an adjustment. So if you see me kind of going out of view that way, I try not to, but occasionally I get into my I'm crafting alone mode, because I can get better. I have really short arms, so if I get any closer, my head's going to show. We don't want that to show. And so you can do the last one, you can anchor it again and then fold it over. Then just make sure they're up when you fold it over. We've done a couple of these already. I mean, it's similar to kind of like the little stairs, but it's getting that lined up first. Just get it lined up, you can just apply pressure like that. So with this glue, I tend to be heavy-handed. But I have a lot of glue, so I'll never have an issue where I run out of glue, because I have different types that I've tried over the years, and so maybe I'll switch to, it's the bottles, not the glue, that's the problem. So I need to find either different bottles or figure out how to make the ones I have work. Saw a tip in one of the Facebook groups. Maybe I'll follow it. Had something to do with the tips and a different bottle, so we'll take a look. Because the tips are that's what happens when my tip gets clogged all the time. And our glitter glue is way watery than like Scotch Quick Dry. So just lightly. So it's a really small base. I mean, it doesn't even look like a base, but because this is so small, so I'm going to take off the lid so we don't have it falling off. Since this is so small, it's going to go towards the back. And then right there. So I'm going to glue it on. I'm towards the end of my bottle on this one too. Okay, so I put way too much glue on, so I'm going to wipe away a little bit of it. Can't use my, help spread it too. Get rid of that so I don't get it on my hands. And I'm going to pick the prettiest side that I want to be the front. I think that one's okay. So I'm going to put it, I'll show you in a minute, but I'm going to put it towards the back edge. So I'm looking at the back. And I will show you where I place it. Because I just want I just want it to be a little bit around. I'm pretty much centering it. So when we get it in place, I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure down. So I can't rotate it quite yet. So I'm going to actually hold it like this. So you can see around the edges. And then we'll just glue that little stair into place. And that is going to go, it's just center it. So you can see where it's at. Just center it to the door. Then we'll get a different view from the side so you can see the camera, so you can see the finished house well. So let me get this glued on. So here's what it looks like from the front. And you can see the edge as I turned it around. It was hard to see in the video from the top. So you can go ahead and add your own little embellishments. I added a little bit of gemstones in the middle of some of those snowflakes. Or even lights at the top would be fun. So if you did like this video, please give me a thumbs up below and or subscribe. And I thank you so much for watching.